Hello everyone, I'm Lee. In this video, we are going to talk about the same project we did called address book in the previous week. But this time we're going to restructure this project in a more object-oriented way. So in this project, I'm going to create two abstract data types by using class. The first one is address entry. So we used to use the struct address entry to model address entry. The problem with using struct is the data members are all public. That means the client can manipulate those data members directly, the name and the email part. And in this project, I'm going to change it into class and encapsulate those two attributes of the address entry. So let's take a look at the public interface. The public interface includes the constructors that used to initialize the attributes and the accessor method to provide access and the mutator method to modify the internal state. Okay, so right now keep in mind the name and email are the privacy of address entry. Outside of address entry class, nobody has direct access to those two attributes. Now let's take a look at the implementation here. So for the implementation, we initialize the name and the email in the constructor, and take a look here. This expression. Right now, we got a naming conflict. We have name, which is a local variable, that's a parameter. And we got another name, which is an instance variable, this name. So, to resolve this problem, we can either call this name something like innate name, but name does make sense. So how do we differentiate from those two names? We put this, and the big arrow, it's a dash, and it's a minus sign and a greater sign. And name, this one means that's my instance variable. When we learn about pointer, this will make more sense. This is a keyword in C++. That's the pointer of the current object. So we will get back to this. So those two means my instance variable, and name and email means those local variable. And the set name and the set email, that's how you modify your instance variable. And get email, that's you not modify your email, you just copy it to the parameter. So we do get email and get name. Those two, we return the name and the email through parameter list, not through the return type. And later, when we learn more about pointer, we will talk a little bit about this. And when you learn more advanced C++ topic, you will know why we don't want to use just the char array to return them. There should be some protection. We will get there later down the road. Okay, so that's the implementation file. And now let's take a look at the client of this address entry. One of the client is entry list. Entry list is another ADT I created in this project. It models a list of address entry. This is individual address entry, and entry list model a list of entries. So this is one client. It has to use address entry, and we have another client that's the driver program. It uses address entry too, so it go ahead and include address entry. So what I want to show you is here, like for example, read in entry is going to read in some the email and the name and populate this entry object. So let's take a look at this read in entry. So you see we read string, We read two strings for the name and for the email. And now when we populate this entry object, we cannot just go ahead and do a string copy and entry.name. Instead, we have to politely ask, say an entry, please set your name. Remember, you don't have direct access of the name attributes of this object. You have to ask this object to change the name, .set name. And similarly, you have to ask this object to change email. You might be wondering why. Why don't we give direct access to the client? And obviously, direct access will make the code more efficient. But think about this. The outside world only rely on the set name and the set email functions to manipulate the attributes of an entry of this address entry object. So that means later on, when we change the implementation detail, they don't even know. As long as I keep the public prototype, the public interface unchanged, my client, for example, the entry list, the test address book, those two clients, they don't need to modify anything. And we are going to do exactly this in your next lab. We are going to change the internal representation of name and email, and you will see the advantage of data encapsulation. Thank you.